One of the greatest football coaches in history, Lou Holtz, said, "The best players don't always win, but those that play the best most always do." Commenting on that quote, Pete Carroll, one of the most successful college football coaches in the USA, said, "That's why we work so hard. That's why we train so hard. That's why we focus so much on practicing better than anybody's ever practiced before." To practice better than others, it helps to have more time and more energy than others. That extra time and extra energy come from not doing wasteful exercises in your overall training program, both conditioning and practice. They come from running a thoroughly rational, state-of-the-art training program, not a run-of-the-mill program where mental inertia rules and inefficient exercises are used because others do them. The greatest reserves of time and energy are usually in the conditioning part of a training program. This video shows a way of saving time and energy while improving both strength and flexibility. On this video, I do not teach typical gymnasts or dancers stretches that work okay for children and youngsters who are built for gymnastics or for dance. The exercises for simultaneously strengthening and stretching muscles that I teach are designed to deliver great flexibility for adults who were not born to be gymnasts or dancers. You might have a few questions, such as, why do stretches for adults have to be different from stretches for children? Why shouldn't adults use methods of increasing flexibility that are quite effective for children? Why do gymnastic stretches, which work so well for gymnasts, work so poorly for the rest of us? What stretches work better? Here are my answers. Even a cursory study of anatomy reveals that joints change with age. There are certain joint positions that a majority of children can tolerate, but for adults, stretching in such positions is ineffective, even harmful, and there are other positions that make stretches effective and healthy for adults. Here are examples of just the changes that happen with age. The angles between the shaft of the thigh bone and its neck, the part that ends with the head of the thigh which fits into the hip pocket, change with age. The angle in the frontal plane, called the angle of inclination, which at birth might be 135 degrees or more, decreases with age, and in adults it is usually about 125 degrees. The angle in the transverse plane, called the angle of declination, which at birth might be 30 degrees or more, decreases with age, and in adults it is close to 10 degrees. The greater angles of femoral inclination and declination let children abduct their thighs farther than adults can. These changes have to do with changing body proportions as humans grow. A deep back bridge requires well-retracted and depressed shoulder blades. That in turn requires a good extension of the thoracic spine, which usually bends forward and loses mobility as people sit for hours daily, beginning in school. Children's muscles and ligaments are more pliable than those of adults due to smaller muscle mass around joints and to age-related changes in the fibrous connective tissue. Gymnastic methods of flexibility training were designed for children, so they work best with those who begin their training before the age of 12 and poorly with those who begin past the age of 16. The later the training begins, the less effective these exercises are. There is a sport, however, in which all athletes display both great flexibility and great strength, even though very many of them begin training long past the age of 16. The sport is so strenuous and puts such a great load on one's joints that if they were not in the safest positions, they would be destroyed. That sport is Olympic weightlifting. There are research papers showing this, but those who look and actually see don't need those papers to, well, see the obvious. A look at Olympic weightlifters doing their lifts is enough. Those who do see, notice how a weightlifter's hip position in the low squat or in the bottom position of the snatch transfers to the side splits, how the hip position in the split style clean and jerk transfers to the front splits, and how alignment of the back and shoulders in the snatch transfers to the back bridge. This video shows how to apply the relevant weightlifting exercises to develop both great flexibility and great strength in athletes who are too old for the kiddie stretches of gymnastics. Knowing those exercises, you will be able to devise a flexibility program effective for both children and adults. By the way, it has been known since the 1970s that Olympic weightlifters rate second only to gymnasts in overall flexibility. You are watching this video because you are involved in a sport that demands considerable flexibility, say one of the ball games, or combat sports, or martial arts, or track and field jumps, or hurdles. Being a self-respecting instructor or athlete in such a sport, you are in good shape and flawlessly perform standard weightlifting exercises such as stiff leg deadlift, deep squat, and overhead squat, as these are staple resistance exercises in well-run conditioning programs for those sports. Whatever your sport and your training experience, make sure your deep squat is deep enough, as shown here. Deep squat is the key to whole body flexibility, legs, trunk, and arms. So doing it correctly helps greatly with all the other exercises for increasing flexibility and strength. In addition to full range of motion external resistance exercises, such as deep squats, this program for increasing flexibility and strength includes isometric stretches. Isometric stretching involves contracting muscles before elongating them, or increasing range of motion, and then contracting them again at the near maximal length. You will learn how to do the isometric stretches in the course of exercise progressions shown on this video. The best answers to all theoretical questions are in practice, so now to practice.